Welcome back to Prime Morning. It is always a great time having Honorable Jata George in the studio. And so we I don't know, I've got my guest here. Last week, we started a special project. I like to call it the You and I project. We told you to share with us some of your videos, everything that's happening in your community, be it good or be it bad. Anything we need to throw the spotlight on and draw the necessary stakeholders or authorities' attention to. Or if there's anything good that's happening in your community that you want us to throw the spotlight on, why not? We'll be glad to do that. We've seen a lot of your messages in a lot of your videos. We're going to be showing you some of them. We'll have about 6 of them that are topping the list so far. We'll show you and then we'll call on the appropriate authorities and draw the attention to it. We'll go to the Sea Light electoral area first of all. Mr. James Hayen actually sent a video. And then I've got the youth quite represented here in the studio. We'll show you the video. You send in your messages. I'll take the comments on it as well. And I'm going to go back and forth a little bit, but please stay with me and be patient with us today. I just want to take a quick comment on the conversation that Benjamin had with Samchita George here earlier. I don't know if you followed the conversation, but what's your take? Let me actually even introduce them first. I've got Malachi who will join us via Zoom, but if he does, I'll introduce him. In the meantime, I've got Mr. Akudugu Isaka. Right. So he's from the University of Education, Wedeba. He's the president-elect for Jrasak. Yeah. So president-elect, congratulations. I'll be asking how you won. Is it job for the boys' promise or something? Yeah, then I've got OHEEMAH BEDIAKO. She is NUGS secretary for women development. What does that mean, women development?
Women development is what we normally know as women commissioner, where we actually advocate for women in all aspects, whether gender, empowering women. So
okay. I've also got Malachi Dawu, who is a fellow lead for Ghana and human rights activists. He's also joining us via Zoom. But because you both were in the studio when the Honorable was speaking, I just like to take a quick comment on that. Let me go to Mr. Akudugu, or I should call you Isaka. Yes. Isaka, yes. What do you think of the bill on the LGBTQI+?
Thank you. I think this is a very controversial bill, and as I stated, it's really brewing a whole lot of controversy. But I think the crux of the matter here is about human rights. So I urge that we put emotions aside and look at the crux of the matters vis-a-vis. What does our Constitution say about LGBTQ+? And what is our own societal and moral perspective relative to these issues? I believe that if we are able to integrate these two, we will find a common ground. But as it stands now, the two divergent views, that is the proponent of the bill led by Sam George, and now defendants of the LGBTQ led by Koto Ampao and the other groups, are all making congent submissions, and we urge the Parliament of Ghana to look at it critically.
So as a youth, yes. How will this bill affect you? Yeah,
the bill will go a long way to affect me in the sense that this
positively
issues,
or negatively?
Both, because every development has a positive and a negative impact.
Well, I know that this is not what we planned. It's just
absolutely.
I wanted to take your OHEEMAH, what about you?
Okay, so I don't know, but I think this LGBTQ+ is really taking too much attention in our nation. And if it's against our culture, it's something we should just drop it. We should just drop it. Biblically, I know Sodom and Gomorrah was actually, affected.
You think we should be running a country by the Bible?
No, it also plays a key role. Some way, somehow, we had, God's wrath against them. So imagine you adding with the LG, we had God's wrath. Imagine adding the BTQ+. Then I don't know where we are heading as a nation. But honestly, we should try as much as possible to close this down. It's against our culture. Morality is against. I don't know why human rights should play a key role here. There are other people with the argument that people are born with it. We should just, accept them like that. But no, please.
I hope that we get the opportunity to pick up on this conversation. Yeah. But the reason why they're here today is that at some point we're going to be looking at the role of the youth, or how the youth can actually compel change, social change in our communities, we believe that change can only start from bottom up. We can't start from up to bottom. And so it's important we see the role that these youth or all of us can play from the bottom. I mean, very, very grass bottom, to see how we can affect from infrastructure, education, who should we go to, our first port of call and all of that. So Mr. James Ahen, he's calling us. We're going to be calling him and speaking to me. He sent us a video. Now, this video, quite strange because it's alleged to be a group of youth in the Sea Light electoral area engaging or indulging in some sort of black magic called juju. And so the fetish priest in the area was quite angry about it and is going to ban all of these things. I've only got the overview of the story, but Mr. James Ahen is online. We'll speak to him and then we'll show you the video that he sent as well. Good morning, Mr. James Ahen. Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us on Prime Morning.
Okay, thank you.
Right, what exactly is happening in the electoral area?
Oh, it's almost about a couple of 4 days ago.
Okay.
And I was driving to a place called Abuchewe.
Okay.
And I saw a crowd over there, and I just joined the crowd. All I see is you see the young boys around here from Teshin and...
I'm so sorry. We lost Mr. James Ahen. We'll try and reconnect with him. But on your screens is a video that was sent to us. Allegedly, some group or some youth in that community, the Maham Sea Light electoral area, engaging in broad daylight juju, black magic. Exactly what for, I'm not too sure. But this starts a very good conversation that in the past, well, we can indulge in juju, but it wasn't in broad daylight like this. What could make, or what could let... Okay, so Mr. James is back on. Let's speak to Mr. James and find out exactly what happened. Hi, good morning again, and thank you for reconnecting. What exactly did you say you saw?
I said I was driving to a place called Temanuta, a place called Abuchewe.
Okay.
And I saw a lot of crowd around one of our public toilets. And I saw smoking. What is smoke? So I just joined the crowd and I see this kind of juju spinning around there, and just asked the people around, and you were saying these youth are around we people. Among us, Teshin, Choco, Nuwa. They are the youth who have came to the area making juju for guests and things. And now, as for me as a unicorn teacher, normal, I used to move around. Nowadays, we are experiencing strange death. Strange death. Which is 14 years, 19, 18, 20, 33 that way. So we were suggesting those are the people who are doing this thing. So the chief priest called Agbafache, who mobilized the youth, and they attack the people and go and demolish their gods, and they bring it to the man for you to do a full adoration before he burn it.
I see.
So I interviewed the chief priest, which is Agbafache, for you to give me a summarized issue. That's why I take this video and send it to you.
Okay, thank you first of all. But why do you think that the youth can migrate from Nungwa, Teshi, and then choose the Maham area?
Fishing community.
Okay.
So normally they used to do fishing here. They used to travel from there to Temanu town, which is Kenil Beach, to come and fish. Okay. So when they come, they used to remain because we have ghettos around.
Okay.
So all these things there is in the ghettos too.
So if I understand you, the chief priest over there has stopped the act.
Yeah, if you have a license and you are doing good job without any human sacrifice, you allow. Because I saw one of person that having the certificate, even using the blood, the man caught him. And so you see even I feel like I take the even the certificate. Maybe if I didn't send it to you check the video, you see the certificate. One boy.
He's got a certificate for what?
He said.
A certificate for what? You mean he's a graduate?
For the juju.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's the way forward?
Here and you how do you call it, Malam or this thing? You have to see that man before and check your documents. So with this, they'll give you warning. You shouldn't share any black or kill any woman. For that one, you'll be settled. But later on, you see all these things around her, and the boys are complaining. That is why he sent his youth to attack the boys.
Okay, Mr. James Iron, thank you for speaking to us. So you're the unit committee member at the Mahia. You're the chairman, actually.
Chairman, still like the later area.
Okay, and so clearly you don't like this act from the youth.
Yeah.
And so, what are you doing to empower them to stop?
So with this, so far as we have got volunteers that will go after them, I hope that one will be okay.
Okay, anyway, thank you for sharing this video with us and thank you for talking to us. We'd like to maybe talk a little later again to get a lot more clarity about this. But we got another video coming from Adenta. Let's look at that. The person didn't send his or her name. Please, if you send the video, do well to add your name, not just the video, and give us a little brief how long the situation has been. But the person sent a video and described it as a gravel pit. Says that it's supposed to be a pothole, but it's more of a gravel pit. I'm not too sure if this even looks like a road. You might want to share with us how long it's been like this. Is it commutable? Are people still use? Oh my God. Okay. So this is the situation at the Adenta Dodowa Road. Adenta Dodowa Road. Person didn't add the specific part of the Adenta Dodowa Road, but person is sent the video. That's how it looks. And I'm not too sure who we should be calling on, the MC or the MP or not. Now we've got another video coming from Koforidia as well. Koforidia Zongo, somewhere around the Zongo, and it's flooded. I hear that it's been like this for over 4 years, a little more than 4 years. I can't see how anybody can use this road. If you have work to go, if you have a school to go, hospital, anywhere, I really can't see how this is commutable. Then we've got another video, which is an AstroTurf that was been built for people in Secondary for sporting activities. But this sporting activities only happen when people use very unlawful way to get to the AstroTurf. So they are consciously destroying the AstroTurf. As for this one, we are unable to call on the authorities. This is our own attitude. We wanted it. It's been built for us, and yet they're using means that are not right to get to the AstroTurf. We also had one video coming from Elias Mensah in the OT region, Basa, and says that it's been flooding so much that it looks like the drainages there are very, very small, so it's unable to take enough water when it rains, and so it keeps flooding. And when it floods, nothing seems to be happening. You can see the video is not too clear, but you can see it. I mean, we can go on and on with roads and flooding and all of that, because this is a situation that we've been living with for some time now. You can send in your videos and your pictures and then add your name, and please give us a lot more details. It's not enough just showing the videos and the picture, otherwise we won't be able to direct it to the right authorities. But in the meantime, Malachi has joined us via Zoom, and so we want to find out. So the youth were heavily represented here. I'm not too sure if I'm a youth or I'm an adult now, but
you are.
yeah, but we want to find out. These things have been happening, and we do not want to be seeing these things even maybe say 5 years again, 10 years again. What will be our role, the youth? What can we do to compel change in our communities? Malachi, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, hello, good morning, and I hope you can hear me clearly.
Very clear.
I'm very, very far away from Accra.
Where are you?
I have so much. I'm in the western of region, Akoti, somewhere around the western of region. Yes.
Okay.
Somewhere safely, yes.
Okay. So you saw our first video, saw the roads, you've seen the AstroTurf issue. We started with the so-called juju activities that are happening in the Mahia Light electoral area, and it's concerned because it said that it it's only the youth that were heavily engaged in that act that day. What do you make of it, and how can you even compel change in that community if you were there?
I think these issues are very, very, they look very, very sad to me to see young people engaging in such activities. Why? Because I think we have, most of us have been brought up in an environment where we have been groomed and taught about morality, and we taught about so many things, either as a Christian, as a Muslim. So seeing some of these things, it hurts me, or it gets to so much to see young people engaging in things of this sort. But again, I think one of the basic challenges or reasons why we see most of our young people engage in these things is because of unemployment as one of the biggest issues. Because there's no job, and that's why most of them will tell you that there's no job, and that's why they are engaging in things like this to
Malachi,
be able to.
Malachi, so there's no job, and you'd rather not be a handyman, but rather practice juju broad daylight? Unemployment is enough to build a point.
Like, I'm trying to build a point to say that if you ask them, that's what they will be giving you as a reason why they are engaging in things like that. But the point of what we have to do as people, as a community, is that we need to, first of all, as a government, we need to create jobs for our people, if that is a challenge, because it's true to a larger extent that job is one of the reasons why people end up engaging in things like that. It started where people engage in these things and we're not knowing about them in hidden. But today it is coming broad daylight as we are seeing today. But how do we, as a country, are able to fix this issue so that it doesn't become so big that we can't be able to control? And I said again, the biggest issue is jobs. And we need to find a way of creating more jobs for our people. Not only jobs, the 5 jobs that we can think about, but jobs that will be able to reach out to everybody, because not everyone will also go into the school to study from class 1 to university and even continue from postgraduate level. So we need to find a way of creating jobs for our people. It's one of the biggest issues, and we need to do it as a country. And apart from that, so as a community too, we need to also engage in educating our children very well. Maybe we have lose our guts in educating our children about morality or about things that we need to engage in, or the very basis of our Christianity or our Islamic religions that we practice within our communities. Maybe we need to get back to this drawing board.
Okay, thank you so much. OHEEMAH, so Malachi says that we should build our country on morals and Christianity. It seems to be in line with what you said earlier. But I'm quite worried about thinking that we can build a society based on one religion. Is it because it's the largest?
Not necessarily because it's the largest, but I believe that we all have our beliefs, and it's our beliefs that actually determine our religion. So we have the Muslim and what they believe, and we have the Christian and what they believe. So if we have people who are, for one reason, veering off from these two religious settings we have, and want to engage in, juju, and then there's a question as to why they are doing that. And mostly is actually because of our social media and the quick way the youth want to make money. Because it all boils down to money. I don't know why you would want to enter into this, or you would want to, engage yourself in juju. It's because of money. But I don't want to, butter or address the fact that there is unemployment in the country. Yes, there is unemployment, but then there has been a lot of introduction from the, from government with regards to one district, one factory, the new syllabus from the Ministry of Education that looks at TVET, and they are saying that, okay, we should, be vocational wise, we should be trained enough, we should find a way of doing something with our hands. And most question, or my problem, has to also do with the fact that we as a youth fail to move from a comfort zone to, wanting to explore or moving to a different location. And the funny aspect is, if it comes to education and getting good education, we end up moving from Greater Accra to Central Region, because I want to be in Wesley Girls High School, I want to be in Holy Child. But when it comes to, job opportunities, we fail to, conform to the postings that actually are being given to us by government.
Which takes us back to the wheel, why we're here in the studio this morning, that what's the role of the youth in social development changes.
Oh.
For some of the videos that were sent, if you were in that community, Mr. Akudugu, what would you do? What can you do to help the situation?
Yeah, very well. I think we have to look at development in a very holistic manner. For example, development must be looked at from a down, that's down, bottom, top approach. But if we look at it from top, down, bottom approach, we are missing the target. From the videos that we watch, from the traditional aspect that they are practicing juju, clearly, in Ghana here, we don't have only Islam. We have Islam, Christianity, and traditional beliefs. There are people who still believe in traditional beliefs. It is incumbent on us as a nation to make sure that our traditional belief and our practices are practiced in tandem toward our own cultural beliefs. But what they were doing, you could clearly see that there's no regulation in there. He said there's a traditional priest who gives licenses to people to practice.
Amazing.
Right? But if you are using blood, he wouldn't give you that license.
So it means there are requirements to it.
Absolutely. So clearly there is somebody who is not regulating something somewhere.
Okay.
And we tend to make traditional belief as if it is an outlawed activity. It is not. If we look at it from that perspective, people will not be hiding in some corner and doing some view, right? If the person thinks he can manifestly practice his beliefs, he wouldn't hide in any corner to do that. Now, in that aspect, if I were in that community.
Okay, not this particular.
No,
Juju
not
is one of the many issues.
Many issues.
Juju affecting development in our community is a bit wide.
Absolutely.
So let's go to the immediate ones.
Good.
If you wake as a youth, if you wake up in your community and it's flooded.
Absolutely.
If you wake up in your community and the basic school that's there, government basic school, is not painted, it's dilapidated, it's not in right shape, what can you do to bring that change in there?
So, as a youth, you are a member of the community. So what you basically do is we have to, for example, in a district, we have the district chief executive. But before that, you have an assemblyman. So you, as a youth, you have to do volunteerism. They have to mobilize. For example, if there's a flooding, they have to mobilize themselves and see within the immediate time, what can they do to help remedy the situation before they involve the authorities in it. But most of us look unconcerned, and then we don't care that, oh, it is the DC, it is the MC or assemblyman who will come and do that. But the development starts with our own selves.
Okay. Malachi, are you with us?
Yes, I'm definitely here with you.
Okay, so Isaka is telling us that the development starts with us as the youth. If there's an assemblyman in your community, there's an MC, even all the way up to your MP, what really can you do with yourself as a youth to enforce this change? To what extent can you do something?
Yes, I think to a larger extent, I would agree with him that maybe development will definitely start from us as young people. However, I think with flooding and so many of the issues that the videos that we've seen, and maybe what I may be going through right now within the community I find myself, I think I'll be able to name it travel and see. Travel around the country, you'll be able to see the very challenges that we face as a country. So on the issue of flooding, I always talk about planning as a country. Have we been able to plan our country or plan how we foster our development in terms of building, foster in terms of roads and other things to make sure that some of these petty issues or petty flooding that happens within the country, we are able to solve them. So we may even take them back to the June 3rd situation. What have we done so far as a country to be able to find solutions to that problem so that it doesn't happen again?
Okay.
Well, if it does happen in my community, one will always talk about advocacy as one of the tools that we can use as young people to be able to foster change or development in our community, which is to start from the community level, is it as assemblyman level, straight to the DC or to the MP, and then from there we go to the regional level and etc. So that will be one of the keys I'll be using, is to be able to advocate for development in my community.
Okay.
But when some of these challenges happen or these things happen, first of all, like you said, we could also start how can we young people also help in fixing or giving solutions to the problems in our community? Some of these things would necessarily not have to be done by the MP, by the DC. Some of these things, some of them are maybe so petty that we can also put ourselves together and put our labor together to fix the problem, rather than every time around bombarding the government to be able to fix some of the challenges that we have here.
Okay, thank you, Malachi. I see you have another point there. I just might come back to you again to give me that final point, but I'll come back to OHEEMAH. So Malachi mentioned advocacy. I like to think of the hashtag Fix the Country group as an advocacy group. Okay. With the genesis of it, where it got to, merging the Ejira protest and the reports that came, as a youth, are you motivated to even form advocacy group?
Okay, so the argument of this Fix the Country was dwelling on some also coming up with the issue that is fix yourself. You should fix yourself. And that is what Malachi is saying. You wouldn't find government or an MP coming as low as to, your community and probably getting into the gutters to take out the trash or the rubbish that are stuck in the gutters that mostly causes this flooding in our community. Is bestowed on us as youth. And if we say that we are the future leaders, the future is like today, tomorrow, and all that, is bestowed on us to actually start practicing or acting up as one. We shouldn't wait for government. We can advocate in our own way by, calling on the government to assist, probably in finances or resourcing, or making available some technological tools to aid these practices. But as a youth, how can you start before you actually wait or wait for government to actually come inside? It's by, volunteerism, as he said, forming a group of people, and within your own small corner, you start making these cleanup exercises geared towards, the prevention of this flooding. So I believe that, yes, fixing the country issue has to do with fixing we, the youth. We should psych our minds. We should know that we are the leaders. We should act as one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isaka, I'm quite concerned because as a youth, I expect that you're either in the classroom or your work. Yeah. And so if a contractor has been given a contract to construct a road with drainage systems, and for one video that came in from the whole West District, or no, I think the OT region actually, the drainage system is so small, and so it's unable to take the floods that come in. So imagine every time there's a flood, it rains and there's a flood. And because we want to volunteer, the youth would have to come out of homes. They're going to work. Instead of going to work, they're not going to work. They are home and they're going to what? Empty the drainage system. That from the genesis didn't start right. How do I help? How can I get this done? I don't see the possibility of it. It looks like we have to live our lives fixing the after problems.
Very well. That is simply because we do not get involved from the initial beginning.
Great.
As I said, development must be looked at a top down bottom approach. You see, before any developmental projects are rolled out, there are community engagements. But most of us, what we do as youth, we sit idle and unconcerned. I can tell you that most of us do not attend assembly meetings and town hall meetings. These are where most of these developmental projects are discussed and roll out. If you are in a community and they are there to do a drainage, and you don't know when the project was discussed, what goes into the project, the drainage quantity size, definitely you cannot criticize. But if you see it in the initial beginnings and you think that it can affect you or affect you in any way, that is where you draw the authorities' attention to it and you volunteer. And look, legal protest in this country is very lawful. And people, we have to utilize it. That doesn't mean that in a community you realize that they are rolling out a project which will not be in the benefit of the community. You have to come together and make sure that the authorities are prevented from doing the wrong thing. Yeah, because that will not be to a benefit about the community.
It will be a good time to show you this video of a young man trying to patch the road by himself. Why? Because a contractor who was paid to construct the road from the Avatime Jogbepe in the whole West District just ended up constructing the road to his community called OHEEMAH. I know the Volta region quite well, but I'm not too familiar with this area. But it looks like he just constructed the road, ended at a point and left it, and he's been paid. And the road is still going bad, and a young man is taking upon himself to be patching the road. Malachi, I know you say that kudos to this guy who's doing well, but how sustainable is this? And how can if I was this man or if I was in this community, how can I hold this contractor responsible? Where should I go first? Ministry of Roads or where? My MP? What shall I do?
Feed the roads.
I think what I say is actually the minister, and I think that is very great to see the young man trying to fix his own road and not fixing himself but fixing the road. As we were to talk about. But I think one of the things that I wanted to point out to when Akudi was talking is the fact that how are we young people being involved in the decision-making process?
Great.
I think that's a whole conversation to talk about maybe some other day. But then, how are we being involved? At what level? Who are representatives at this level? So because we are now one of the biggest stakeholders when it comes to the country in terms of the numbers that we are bringing out, in terms of the number of the current population census will be able to tell you the number of young people in the country. But as one of the biggest stakeholders, how are we being engaged or involved in the decision-making process? Either at a community level, like Akudu was talking about, in terms of decision-making, whether it is on contracts, whether it is on development, anything at all within the community, how are we being involved? That is one part. Do we also know our rights or know that these are the various ways that we could also get involved in the decision-making process? Because when we know all these things, then we can be able to hold our people accountable.
Okay.
So in the case of my young brother who have been able to patch that road, sustainability as the big issue you talk about, I don't know how that will be sustained for a longer term. It can't, I don't know how. If it rains, I'm sure that place will be so muddy because in road construction, after the plowing the road, there are various things that they add to the road before it becomes the quota that we all talk about or we all know about. So in sustainability, this will be a very big challenge to talk about whether this road will be sustainable for the longer years. Even those that have been done by contractors, in some few months they get deteriorated. But in a shorter period, he will be able to have his roads, have his car or his bicycle move on that road without any challenge. So back to my point again, that we need to also know where we channel our advocacy or activism.
Yeah.
Because if we are talking about fix the country or talking about anything advocacy or anything calling for developmental change, then we also, as you should be able to be conscious about how or where we channel our advocacy to. Because if today we start with fix the country, start shouting, and then what is the end result? Shouting about fix the country or fixing a certain challenge in your community. Does that end there? Where will be the next place to take it from? So we need to, have a very good roadmap whenever we're talking about advocacy or whenever we're talking about
stick to it.
Calling our government to
Okay, thank you, Malachi. If I have time, I just might come to you for a submission because you're a human rights activist. I definitely would want to take your opinion on the LGBTQI. Okay, I'll come if I have time. Okay, and so Ahima, I'll come to you. So you're especially developing women. Do you think that women have some supernatural powers that can effect change? Do you think that they deploy maternal instincts? They have some special skills. What's the special role we can do to help change from the youth level?
All right. So naturally, women have this kind of instinct where we get to groom, we get to bring people up from infancy, train them, educate them. Both home. Nurturing home from the home and everything. So I believe that we are special in actually coming up with solutions to problems and also development. So for the role of a woman in advocacy, the role of a woman in developing the community is very key.
Yeah.
For instance, gone are the days where we don't really have a say in leadership and have a say in the policy making and all that. I believe we have evolved. Absolutely. We have found new ways of being heard and all that. So I believe that as a woman in your community, you should stand up, or probably let me use man up or woman up, by, you know, making yourself heard, looking for some of the challenges within your community, health-wise. You know, this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So you feel like in your community, these are the challenges women are facing. So with regards to that, I, for one, I'm organizing the breast screening for women in my community. Nice. So that's what I have discovered, that's what I have seen, and that's the kind of change I want to bring to my community. So as a woman, you can look at it in that regard. You can look at it in the sense that, okay, cervical cancer, what I can do to the women in my community, and not only for women in particular. A woman, you cannot necessarily be gender biased. Absolutely. You should, you know, look at the male aspects of it too.
You don't become too good of a woman and raise a terrible man.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll come to you, Mr. Your name. I like the Isaka. Okay, Isaka. I'd like you to reiterate final words, and your final words reiterate what and how the youth can be part of the decision making. You mentioned that we're not part of town hall meetings. We don't go for assembly discussions and all of that. So reiterate for people watching today, so that we can pick up.
Yes. As young people, per the latest statistics from the Ghana Statistical Service, we form about 57% of the population. Looking at this, we must be personally concerned as to what happened on a daily occurrence, that every policy that the government rolled out, we must be personally concerned. How do we become personally concerned? It starts from the local level, right? We identify some of the challenges we want to be addressed. Then we sit down at youth and see how best we can. There are some regions that we have started developing talents. For example, there are some regions that they have regional youth parliament, constituency youth parliament. They sit down and discuss issues that
but when you discuss these issues, where do you take them?
After the discussion, there are resolutions that are made and presented to the district assemblies, regional offices. These things, we might see them as minute as they are, but it goes a long way to affect development. If truly we want to really develop as a country, we have to look at all these things very holistically. The concerns of the youth must be taken into consideration. And before that can be taken, we have to make it heard. We have to be heard out. And in that hearing out, as Malaka was saying, advocacy is very key. And in advocacy, at the moment, the youth, we are overtaking society and, you know, morality issues. That is why people are not understanding most of the youth these days. We have, per the contemporary times that we are in, modernity is overtaking social and cultural issues. Some of the barriers that we normally, you know, put constraint on. As a young guy, you have to stay mute in certain aspect or certain cases, have been overtaken by modernity, right? For example, technology has evolved so much that you can sit anywhere and air out your view or criticize in any way that you can. But previously, we allow some cultural barriers to prevent us from airing out our concern, especially women. And in these days, our young sisters, for example, my sister sitting here, she's a secretary for women's development, NUGS. It's not a small position, it's a mild achievement that she has done. And she serves as a motivation or a role model to others to also follow suit. So I'm saying that development must be looked at a top-bottom approach.
Thank you very much.
Where it starts with us and end with us.
Thank you so much, Matana. Quickly, when are you doing your screening? When?
So we have it's in 4 places. We have Koforidua, we have Anyasoutium, we have North Tong, and we have in Samuel Medwedri.
Okay.
And the first one is supposed to kickstart in the 14th of this month
of October
at Koforidua.
At Koforidua. Okay. Thank you so much. Malaka, I'm unable to come to you, but what you would do is please tweet at me or at Prime Morning your comment on the LGBTQI, especially because you're a human rights activist. If you're on, did you hear me, Malakai? Okay, so all right, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's say a big thank you to Edu Motors and also a big thank you to Nivea Sun Milk, the Wellmar International, GB Foods, Aqua Fresh Limited, Olam Ghana Limited, Electroland Ghana, MTN, and definitely Promasidor Ghana. We'll be here tomorrow. My name is Emefa Kosiadeti. I was here with Malachi Dido, fellow lead for Ghana, human rights activist, and also OHEEMAH BEDIAKO, NUGS Secretary for Women Development, and also Mr. Akudugu Isaka, University of Education, Winneba SAC President-elect. Congratulations, sir. All right, and we'll be looking out for your achievements as well. Thank you so much for coming. Do take care. We'll see you tomorrow.